The White Lady of Balete Drive. In the heart of Quezon City, there lies a street that most locals fear to traverse at night. Balete Drive. The tall, twisted balete trees line the narrow road, their branches casting eerie shadows that flicker and dance under the pale moonlight. For decades, stories of ghostly apparitions have haunted this road, but none as famous as the White Lady of Balete Drive. It was a humid October evening when Marco, a young call center agent, found himself working late into the night. His shift had ended past midnight, and his usual commute home involved passing through the infamous Balete Drive. Despite hearing countless stories of the White Lady, Marco shrugged them off as mere superstition, tales meant to scare children or thrill seekers. He wasn't one to believe in ghosts. He boarded his motorcycle and revved the engine, setting off into the quiet, empty streets of Quezon City. As he approached Balete Drive, a strange chill ran down his spine. The road was unusually foggy that night, with the mist swirling lazily around the trees like a thick blanket. Marco tightened his grip on the handlebars and sped up, eager to get through the street as quickly as possible. The road stretched out before him, eerily silent except for the hum of his bike. The shadows seemed darker here, the air heavier. Halfway through the drive, something caught Marco's attention. In his rearview mirror, he saw a woman standing by the side of the road, dressed in a flowing white gown. Her long black hair hung down, obscuring her face. Marco felt his heart race. The White Lady. He had heard the stories, how she would appear to lone drivers asking for a ride, and how those who didn't stop would be cursed or never heard from again. Marco kept his eyes fixed ahead, pretending not to see her. He revved the engine and sped up. But the faster he went, the closer the figure seemed to get. Her pale form now floated alongside his bike, her hair whipping in the wind, but her face still hidden. Suddenly, his bike sputtered and came to a stop. Marco's heart pounded in his chest. He tried to restart the engine, but it refused to turn over. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Desperately, he glanced around. The woman was no longer in the rearview mirror. But then he felt it. A cold hand on his shoulder. Marco froze, too terrified to turn around. His breath caught in his throat as the icy grip tightened. Slowly, against every instinct, he turned his head to see the figure standing right beside him. Her face, pale and hollow, was now visible. Her eyes sunken, her lips bloodless, and her mouth twisted into a haunting smile. Without a word, the White Lady leaned in close, her cold breath brushing against his ear. "Take me home," she whispered, her voice a raspy, chilling sound that sent shivers down his spine. Marco scrambled to get away, but his legs refused to move. His body was paralyzed by fear. The last thing he saw before blacking out was her face, those empty, soulless eyes staring deep into his. Hours later, Marco was found unconscious by a passing driver, his motorcycle overturned by the side of the road. He was rushed to the hospital, but no one could explain what had happened to him. When he finally regained consciousness, Marco could barely speak. His once lively eyes were now filled with terror, haunted by something no one could understand. The doctors said he would recover in time.